stimulus dollars towards education. I and a few others went to Washington, and we had some conversations, and were successful in getting this language about open educational resources in the early documents that came out about ARRA. And the April 24th document that describes the supported expenditure, where you can spend your money for ARRA, includes a mention of open resources. Now, since then, there's been maturation of all this. Today, we're going to talk specifically, well, as specific as we can be, about the race to the top, so the K-12 folks in the room, that's relevant to you, and then SAFRA, which is for the most part really more relevant to the community college folks, the Student Aid and Fiscal Responsibility Act. Start with race to the top, because that legislation has passed, the RFPs are out, we've gone through phase 1, and phase 2 is about to come up in June. Phase 2 where you can put in another response to the RFP. And then SAFRA, it's not through, this legislation has not been passed yet. It got through the House and it's in the Senate, but there's expectations. Do you want us to talk to that at all? About?
I did in my last session. I don't know.
I'll say it again.
Anybody missed that, but it's after healthcare reform.
So there you go. Well, we're going to talk about a little bit today. And in a lot of ways, SAFRA is even more interesting to we all than race to the top, because it specifically carves out a chunk of capital to support the creation and support of open online courses. But anyway, going forward. Race to the top. Have anybody, so you guys haven't gone, there's a Race to the Top website the government's put up. If you want to take a look at this, a lot of this has come from that site. Here's some of the program features, just for those that haven't been following this. The eligibility for this is state by state, either through the governors or through the state, the DOE. But it's state, this isn't by the districts, this is by the states. And the award ranges will go from about $20 million to $700 million. And it depends on the category your state falls into, primarily the size of the state. So there's 4 states, California and Texas and Florida and New York, I think, they're in the category that allows them to submit grants or requests for monies up to $700 million. And then it goes down to Idaho, which you can apply for return beverage bottles. Something like that. Right. And on the terms of how this money is used, if you read through it, you'll find that the LEAs can get to this money, but they have to get to it through the state. So it comes in through the state. The state is responsible. If half of it's, well, fundamentally, if you read it, it's a little bit complex, but half of it the state controls in the way the state wants to, but the other half needs to be subcontracted or supposed to be subcontracted via MOUs back to the LEAs. And so, that being said, if you read the documentation on this, it says that if you sign an MOU with your state to use this money, if you're a district in the room, you've got to spend the money according to how the proposal is written, not how you think about it. And so your influence on that proposal, if you have some things you want to have happen, is important. So before the phase 2 comes through, if you can get your hands on that and have something to say about it, that's a good thing. You're shaking your head.
It's just interesting, aside from that, is that most of the school districts in the Boise area did not sign on.
Oh, they did?
To the Idaho application because of that.
Because of that?
Yep.
So, and I hear that a lot.
Okay.
Have you heard that? Some, not so much. Co-submission. There's a presumption, at least when we started this, if there are states that are going to be able to do this together. Well, it turns out, at least when I've read, that's not happening. Each state has to submit individually. So states can't cooperate. You can't put in co-submissions in response to the RFP. Each state puts in their own submission. That doesn't, if you read more deeply in the documentation, though, it doesn't mean that you can't cooperate. And so you're not competing with anybody in this room, as far as I can see. If you're telling us things and you're not opening your kimonos to somebody who's going to get the money and you can't, if you're different states, you're going to get the money. Every state's going to get the money. It's a matter of the distribution of that money in the state. That's a district to district. Well, they will. It's supposedly not every state's going to get, but what I'm hearing is it's going to happen. You have heard differently?
No, there's a debate in the very high levels of the Department of Ed, and there's a group of people that want to give it more, distribute it to more states, and there's a group that wants to make it very few awards in both rounds to set real examples and invest that money in the people they really believe it can be done. So that is not, it's up for grabs. I don't know how that's gonna.
I heard this week that the debate is moving, but you know what, we'll find, you know, the real proof of this is going to be April, when the first round comes out, whether or not the 40 that submitted actually get funded, I guess.
Yeah.
You're indifferent?
No, we're just saying that they're supposed to send the short list. I don't know whether it's going to be 10 of the finalists for Race to the Top, like by Friday, right?
By Friday.
This week or the next week.
But I'm not sure it's going to be released. Is it going to be released publicly?
Not.
They get invited to come to Washington for an interview. Yeah, the first announcement will be that the states that are in contention will get invited to Washington for an interview.
And everyone will know.
Yeah, they will.
And everyone will know.
So of the 40 applications that they got, how much money was requested from those 40?
I didn't add it up, but I'm going to show you a website where you can. It's roughly $17 trillion, I think was the request. No, there's a URL at the government site that actually has PDFs for all the grants that were submitted that you can download. So you can actually download the Virginia grant, see what they actually said. And everybody else's, the other 39 grant requests too.
The text was only, I think the text was limited to 100, it's all they.
Students apply.
What?
Texas wasn't on the list.
The text, I was saying the text of the
Oh.
proposal is actually, should be 100.
What we printed out was over 200.
Yeah.